pursue your goals, be passionate about what you're doing, love it when you enjoy it, and be very creative. See, don't allow money to come first. When you have the idea, think through. The idea produce the money. And
Partnerships?
Various things. That's why I say just think through. Sometimes you might just need just a leap. It's not, everything is not about money. And I told you I started the real estate without money. So all I have, I looked inward and I started as a salesperson. Somebody had the money. I had a doctor friend who said, I want to buy 12 acre. And that was what set me up. I just collected it. So think through whatever you have, you want to do. There is always a solution. There is always what you can do. And it's not about, be very thorough. Be easy, be focused. Be focused. Don't allow, and do that.
And don't dwell on the negatives and the problems. Good.
And that was a master class for free.
Of course, definitely.
So thank you so much, Dr.
welcome.
Dr. Shineko, for coming. Please. We shall, keep reaping from this wealth of experience that you've shared with us. And we want to wish you a safe trip back to UK. And we hope you'll be back home.
I will be back, and I'll definitely come around again.
All right, and as practical as it could be with Doctor anytime. I can't wait to watch this conversation again.
Great.
When I'm focused and not distracted, so I can get everything that you have put into this conversation today. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Privilege to be here.
Our conversation on entrepreneurship there with Dr. Larry Shuneko, Group GMD and CEO, Lashon Group of Companies. Next is a break to allow us make room for our next guest, Lawrence Mba. Stay with us.
Sometimes, it's not just the distance we travel. It's the gaps we close. It's not the things we buy. It's the memories we create. Sometimes, it's beyond the places we go. It's the connections we make. Not just the things we taste. It's the taste of things to come. And it's never a question of if, but when. Because life is always just a bit better with American Express. Introducing the Access Bank American Express Gold Card and the Metal Platinum Card, now available through Access Bank.
All right, you're still watching Today with John and Helen live on Plus TV Africa. We are being joined right now by a hands-on leader, an engaging speaker, a well-traveled C-suite professional, highly regarded for his relationship management experience in Canada, Nigeria, and the emerging economies. Popularly known as the bridge builder, our guest, Lawrence Mba, has over 30 years postgraduate experience in general management, MBA, from one of Europe's Ivy League business schools. A firm believer in giving back to society and community, our guest is a volunteer, a mentor, an astute negotiator, and Knight of St. John's International. I love that. Lawrence Mba is founder CEO Waka Community Foundation, and we shall be working for fitness in the next 25 minutes or so, sitting here in conversation, with the gentleman. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hello.
And it's my singular honor to have Lawrence Mba, with us today. I've followed your Waka community. As a matter of fact, he made me join the Waka community a few days ago. So let's see what we can do about that. We have lost a bit of time, so we want to dive straight into the questions. Like they say everywhere we go, ladies first after gentlemen. So I'll take the question first.
Okay, after the gentleman.
Yes, ladies first after gentlemen.
I hear you. You got me confused there. I was just ready to go.
Now take us through how all of this started. What really got you motivated into starting a community that works for fitness? Hey, come on.
Okay, excellent. I have always kept fit, but I was doing it pretty much on a low scale. Then at some point, 3 years ago, one of my sisters had said to me that she thought I was being selfish with my gift and my knowledge, that I should give myself to the world. And I said, no, I didn't want any of those. I wanted to live my private life and be happy with it. But, I realized that at some point in life, it's no more about you.
Sure.
It's about your community. It's about legacies. And so that's what led to Waka Community International starting. And as I speak, we are in 46 countries in 31 months.
Wow.
So we must be doing something right.
46 countries.
Yes, ma'am. 46 countries in 31 months. And we've grown organically, month on month, by, the last time I checked, 150 people, new members every month on Facebook alone. Okay. We also have members on Instagram, on Twitter, now called X, on TikTok. We have a website. We're building an app.
Okay.
We're close to launching it. I shouldn't say much about that right
Yeah.
So actually, the community has been hungry, or is always hungry, for someone to just step up and lead them in, especially this area of health. Because a lot of people are mouthing, you need to stay healthy, but getting started, is a problem. And when there is a community, when you have more people, it makes it a bit easier, I want to believe. So as a C-level executive, how do you integrate your passion for health and wellness into your leadership style and company culture?
Thank you very much for that very loaded question. Health is the ultimate wealth.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be healthy. What I just realized was I needed to have a business model that was going to simplify it. And part of that simplification explains why Waka is simply about 4 basic items. To Waka, to walk,
Yeah.
to eat responsibly in small portions, to hydrate well,
Sufficiently.
2 to 3 liters of fluid, healthy fluid, water, iron drinks every day,
Yeah.
and I must emphasize this, get adequate sleep. Many people underestimate the role sleep plays in our health
Guilty.
regime. Yeah. It's important that we sleep enough. Sleep, if we don't sleep enough, you see, we can go without food for a week, you'll be good. You can go without water for a week, your kidneys will start feeling uncomfortable, but if you did hydrate, you'll be good. But if you went without sleep for a week, you'll be dead.
Wow.
You'll be dead. And another thing is, when we don't have enough sleep, our brain cells eat themselves.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's go a little practical now.
Okay.
I'd want you to share some specific strategies or initiatives that you've complemented with, in organizations that you worked with in organizations to promote physical activity, such as walking programs, and maybe their impact.
Okay. The key thing about walking, beyond being one of the best kept secrets, and beyond not being discriminatory on grounds of age, physical wellness, health, gender, it doesn't really matter. Like we say, everybody can waka, even though not everybody can jog. Walking is a low impact activity, so it's gentle and kind on our knees, on our ankles.
Okay.
So if you're dealing with issues of diabetes, if you have arthritis, if you're a bit overweight, walking is ideal for you. It helps us maintain very good cardiovascular health, helps us with shedding unwanted fat, helps us with maintaining healthy weight. And so, to your question, therefore, when you have a healthy workforce, the productivity goes up, output appreciates, you spend less on Medicare. The consequent savings that you have from not spending on having to medicate people, you can then plow into other productive sectors, like research and development,
Absolutely.
or inclusiveness of your people. So that's the reason why some organizations have found it worthwhile to partner with WACA, and we're open to many more, to be honest. A healthy Nigeria.
I like the
is a
waka thing, you know.
Yeah, it's our thing. It's us.
Absolutely. WACA is a global brand right now that's being grown out of Africa, out of Nigeria.
Yeah.
So it's ours. There's an affinity to it.
True.
You know.
All right.
Everybody getting on WACA.
You know, and the waka sometimes it's not only the krukekore waka. Waka can be anything
Not just
else.
waka waka. Not waka waka.
Yeah.
No.
But waka.
Yes. All right. So, in your experience, what role does mindset play in achieving fitness goals, and how do you encourage positive mindset within your teams?
Okay. Keeping fit and staying healthy is a lifestyle. It requires discipline, mindset. It requires persistence, mindset. It requires patience, perseverance, sacrifice, tenacity. You fall 7, get up 8. There are times you don't want to do it, but you got to do it anyways. Okay? So that's about your mindset. You're going to have that discipline. And you've got to be consistent. I can't overemphasize this. Consistency makes all the difference. You can't be a weekend warrior. You can't be an absentee, keep fit, or health conscious individual.
Not once in a month.
Not at all. You've got to be consistent. And that's why we say to people, WACA 30 minutes every day. You don't need to do more than that. It's a lot easier to WACA 30 minutes every day, 5 days a week. That's the gold standard of 150 minutes every week. Instead of spending 2 hours one day and the next days you're doing nothing.
Nothing.
No, you got to be consistent with it. Okay? And also related to that is that walking helps clear our minds and boosts our moods. So talk mental health, talk mindset.
Yeah.
What is it for you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll give you a little secret, Helen. You know, I've followed Lawrence Mba for many years, you know, and I've known him to be a top and astute management person. And I know that a lot of things you've done in the past have got to do with maybe change management and all of that. So how do you address resistance to adopting healthy habits? I mean, like regular walking within corporate environments, because people don't want to change.
Okay.
They want to remain in their comfort zone.
John, you don't mind if I say this, but John and I know, we go way back.
Yes,
We go way back to 1987
that's right.
when I was a young brand manager
That's right.
in what was then
Then
Lever Brothers.
Lever Brothers, yes.
Unilever didn't exist at the time. And John was in advertising. Okay? So that's how far back we go. Okay, I won't say more about that. But that's the point. We've always, in marketing and in management, you say what's in it for the person. If you get people to see what's in it for them, they will do it without you being there. And there's no better way than to illustrate and explain and tell a story and get people to see a picture. Show them what they stand to benefit by being healthy. That's why we're largely altruistic in what we're doing in WACA Community International Foundation, by the way. That's what it is. If they see the benefits, your job is done.
That's the why.
That's the key thing.
Yeah.
They've got to see it, and you've got to make it easy for them to go along with. That's why the model is so simplistic and so broken down into 4 basic things. Just work at 30 minutes a day. You don't have to go and invest in a fancy gym. You don't have to invest in fancy clothes. Work out in anything you wear. As a matter of fact, if you can work out bare feet, that's even better. There's something called earthing or grounding, which says to you, walk, when you're mowing your lawns, for those that have lawns, walk bare feet. When you're on the beach, walk bare feet. The organs of the body are situated on the
You are in them for as long as you can stay. So all of these add up. You talked about sleep. You know, you can die if you lose sleep for 8 days. How many hours of sleep do we need? Considering our environment. Lagos, for example, there are people who wake up at 5 a.m. and they are supposed to be at work for 7. And by 10, 11, 12, sometimes 1, they are just getting back home. How do you find it?
It's more like how much sleep can you
how
get?
much sleep can you get?
Ideally, depending on your age, and for people who are 30, 35 and above, you require 7 to 8 hours of sleep
Every
day. I understand the challenges with living in this environment and operating here, but there are things called power naps.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you're in traffic, heading for work, you can power nap.
Okay.
Power naps are reinvigorating.
Those are also added to the 7 or 8 hours.
Absolutely, because it's the sleep that you need.
Okay.
But if you can do straight 6 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep, you're better off than someone who does just 3 hours of sleep. And again, when you sleep enough, your productivity rises.
True.
You can tell when you're not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
You're struggling. You do it. So the body needs a break. We work out and we rest.
Back to Waka. Back to Waka community. Yes.
Right. So, okay, Helen, I was going to let you go for the next one, but I mean, let me just ask you. Now, how do you envision the future of the workplace? You know, in view of all we've talked about, we're looking at the Nigerian environment now. How do we get over all of these things? How do we incorporate, you know, these routines into work life, right?
Okay. Design thinking is where we should all begin to place a bit of an emphasis on. Companies should structure, thank goodness, now people can telecommute. You can work from home without losing your productivity and without losing your effectiveness. The more people are able to work from home, the more companies can design rest times, the more they can design leisure periods, the more the ambience is structured in a manner that is not stiff and mechanical, the better you're able to get people to be healthier, to be fitter, to be leaner, and ultimately to be happier. All of those are things that organizations have to start getting more conscious of in the way that they design the environments.
Great.
All right. The times are hard. Finance is a problem. A lot of corporate organizations and what have you are, you know, shedding and trying to come up with strategies that would help them, you know, save money. What advice would you give to executives looking to prioritize employee well-being through initiatives like walking, you know, when they are thinking of the important things, so to speak? This is important, but to some, it's not key. How do you break through with people such as this?
The key thing really is the realization that health is wealth. And when you do that, and also even for the individuals, they've got to see ways to upskill themselves and increase their relevance to whatever organizations that they belong to right now and outside of those organizations. If companies see you as a potential source of drain on their finances because of your unhealthy lifestyle and behaviors and habits, then you're going to drop down on the pecking order. So as companies pay attention to the P&Ls, the top line and the bottom lines, they've also got to pay attention on the things that lead to an increase in output. Healthier people give you better results than they would have if they were not as healthy.
Okay, I want to throw this in. It's a community. Waka is community, you know. I live in Ikeja. if I want to begin to work, someone lives in Ajagule, in Suliri, in Moshe, and all of, how do we become a part of this community?
Fantastic. I did mention that Waka Community International Foundation has members in 46 countries. Because we're in 46 countries, it's humanly impracticable for all of us to be in one location at any point in time. Our model is such that anywhere you are, Waka, and upload the videos, photos, and the stats of your Waka on our platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok.
Wow.
That way, you inspire others. And that way as well, together, we keep changing lives. But ever so often, we get people in smaller groups. That's how we have chapters as well.
Okay.
And then we get people in bigger groups when we have our Wakathons, we call them.
Okay.
Wakathons. And we had one on the 23rd of March in honor of Dr. Ade Alakija, who used to be a member of Waka Community Foundation. We had 570 people in Lekki, Wakaing from Admiralty Way down to Bodilon and back. So that answers the question.
Okay.
So anywhere you are, you're not limited by having to have 10, 15 people Waka with you. So whatever where you are, just Waka and upload it.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Wow. I hear that we have just a couple of minutes to go. And I don't know how time,
It's just flying.
What you're having for time.
but I'd like to throw something in. You're looking very fit, very healthy. And when I grow up, I want to be like you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you for the kind words.
Right?
Yeah, thank you for the
So,
kind words.
and I know that Helen will be green with envy, as she usually is. Could we just get her into the community?
Top pot belly here. Every
Could we
core,
get her
every
into the community right? Let's induct her right away.
Yeah,
So
you
she
see,
can-
our doors are open, and we continue to welcome people. We don't discriminate at all. Okay, our youngest member is 14. The oldest that we have is a gentleman who's in the UK, who's 81. In Lagos, the oldest is 73, and he did work out with us on Saturday, Jerry Okaro. So we don't mind at all. And to join us, all you need to do is go to our website, www.wakacommunity.com, and right there on the top right hand, you will see an icon, Join Now. If you just click on that,
Click it.
it takes you to Facebook and you join. And for
So
those who are not on Facebook,
there you go, Helen.
yeah, and for those who are not on Facebook or want to be on other platforms, we're on Instagram. It's Waka Community #2, one word, Waka Community 2. On Twitter, now called X, it's Waka Community. On TikTok, it's Carnegie Solutions, and we have a website.
Great.
Okay.
So, everyone desiring to enjoy good health and long life should start working.
Yes, sir.
You know, make it a lifestyle. I'm inspired, and I want to.
One thing, let me just sneak
Yeah.
this in.
Okay.
We are building a wellness app that will reward people for wakaing.
Wow.
It's good to go. We're just working towards finishing our last checks and all that, making sure no gremlins, no bugs, no glitches, and we'll launch it.
Fantastic.
All right.
Fantastic. Thank
If you
so much.
do think deeply, some man who should know said that we must never be sedentary. You know, in fact, the sitting position and the lying down position is the worst place that you should be for a long time. So
Sitting is the new
walking-
smoking.
Yeah.
Sitting is the new smoking. So don't sit for too long. And there's a risk of DVT, deep vein thrombosis,
Thrombosis,
for people that sit for long hours. So all you could do, even if, whether you're in traffic, coming to work,
Yeah.
stretch
Or
your
whether
legs.
you're in the
Whether
office once
whether
in a
you're
while.
in the office, get up after every hour, move
Just
around. move
waka
around.
and grow.
If you're on a long haul flight, yes. Yeah, there's something called Soleus push-ups, like what I'm doing for those who can see. Just that.
Okay. The soul.
Yes, just doing this
Ooh.
is been known to reduce your sugar level.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
So much. So
Lawrence,
much, so much
we
information.
understand and appreciate the many gains for the family in staying healthy, especially now.
yeah.
So let's link
Next.
up with you sometime again.
Yeah.
You take us through this routine. We probably have enough. You get more time then, you know, to talk.
That'd be
to
my
us.
pleasure.
All right. You know, normally we take you to the gym, you know, for We have a gym. We have a gym
Awesome.
instructor
That's
on this show.
fantastic. That's
But
good.
we have taken almost all of the time. I don't know if the director has.
No, we'll just move on.
If okay, so
Hey,
we
can I just mention though
Yeah.
that as part of a health regime, as we get older, we need to strength train, resistance train. That's what the gym does. So we waka and we gym
Okay.
to maintain muscle mass. Because as we get older, our testosterone levels for men starts dropping, okay, and then we're exposed to osteoporosis
Wow.
and fractures. So you've got to do some resistance training to maintain your muscle mass.
Thank you.
And that's what makes you live long. For longevity,
Awesome.
you've got to do that. If you do not, you will be a
You
different story.
won me over.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's take a break. After the break, our next guest, the final guest for today, will join us to look at drug use and drug addiction. He has all of the answers and the help that you need. Fathers, mothers, uncles, aunties out there, this is a segment that you must not miss out on. Let's take a break.
Picture this. You're sitting at a table, ready to indulge in a mouth-watering meal. Stop. For many of us, it is hard to resist the temptation, especially when it comes to enjoying a juicy beef dish. But have you ever stopped to think about the impact of your food choices on the greater good? Our food choices have a great impact on others. The beef industry is one of the leading contributors to deforestation. As trees are cleared to make way for cattle ranching, it not only disrupts the delicate balance of ecosystems, but also contributes to climate change. We can make a difference with our choices. It does not mean we all have to become vegans overnight. Imagine enjoying fish and poultry a few times a week, indulging in beef just once a month, and filling our plates with plenty of plant-based goodness. Every little bit counts. And even small reductions in our intake can make a huge impact on the climate. By making smarter food choices, we're not only taking care of ourselves, but also the planet we call home. Remember, the choices we make today lead to a better tomorrow.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. From the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
So thanks for staying with us. This is Today with John and Helen, and we're live on Plus TV Africa. Now, families have been wrecked, promising future dreams, all shattered by this evil. Does it creep in unnoticed? Who is responsible, and how can we turn around the hands of the clock? Our next guest takes us into the dark alleys of drug abuse and addiction. You're still watching Today with John and Helen. Stay with us.
All right, so our last guest is a drug prevention strategist and interventionist. He's a certified United Nations drug prevention advocate and recipient of many awards and recognitions both home here and abroad. He is a United States government-sponsored alumni of International Visitors Leadership Exchange Program, IVLP, in combating drug addiction and opioid crisis. Having championed Delta Beyond Drugs, Bayelsa Say No to Drugs, Lagos Beyond Drugs Addiction, and other life-transforming interventions and programs, our guest is comfortable in this terrain and recognized far and wide as a youth drug advocate and anti-drug ambassador. John, you want to take over from there?
Yeah, because it really is time to get answers from him. Ambassador Sonny Irapo, founder, Select Initiatives. Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
I love your package.
You love his swag.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's always swagging.
I just have to look like my people.
And really, we can't wait to hear, you talk, scatter tables like they say, as we take a look into societal decadence, the drug abuse and addiction factor. So let's dive into the questions. This topic is really one that is very, very close to our hearts.
Okay, so let's take it home. What led you to dedicate your efforts towards addressing drug abuse and addiction in the society?
Well, thank you so much for having me. What led me to, the issue, addressing the issue of drug abuse in Nigeria is as a result of the fact that I've seen damages that he has done to promising youth, particularly in the secondary school. I had a secondary school mate, very brilliant, went to the university. When I came back serving, I met this guy, couldn't believe my eyes what I saw. Drug has taken over the guy, and this was the guy that was very brilliant in school, a science student. And I had a close, conversation with him. He confided on me, he said, boy, not drug go. I was pained. So 14 years ago, during the National Youth Service Corps, I took up the responsibility and see if this guy can hook in this substance, then every other youth is vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I began to, vehemently take the campaign to streets, to churches, to every nook and crannies of the country, including on media, social media. I'm there. So driving the message of saying no to drug abuse. Because young people are the engine room of any nation, including ours.
Yeah.
So if we leave them to die, who is going to drive the various industries that we're having?
Yeah.
So that is what led me. Then I started during the NYSC. And today I'm not regretting that I'm making my impact as far as nation building is concerned.
Thank you. All right, John.
So maybe you would want to shed some more light on the current state of drug abuse. You've talked about your friend, drug abuse, addiction in Nigeria. Paint us that picture.
Well, it is sad because I'm seated here today because of the fact that I have seen the damages. I wish our leaders had seen the damages just the way I'm seeing it on a daily basis. They will take up the issues and address it the way it should. Now, if you talk about drug abuse in Nigeria, it's alarming, it is worrisome that it needs all our efforts to address it. Now, in a state where, according to statistics, that age 18 and 39 are the worst users of this canker. And if you look at this age bracket, these are young people supposed to be contributing to the growth and development of a country. These are the engine room, like as I've said before. So if they are vulnerable to drugs, there is a problem. Now, according to the Psychiatrists Association of Nigeria, that age 18 and 38, 85% of those age are regarded as mad people in the street today as a result of drug abuse. So what am I saying? This also boils down to we are losing our productive age.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are losing our productive age. So if I begin to tell you what I've been experiencing, you will shed tears. In a state where you see a boy of 12 smoking marijuana, in a place, in a society where you see 15 in the secondary school as I speak to you, I'm a campaigner, I'm a grassroots person. So on a daily basis, I see how they are recruiting these young people into the space of drug abuse. So it is alarming, it is worrisome that every one of us must see this as a fight that we should fight. Why we should demonstrate our effort towards it? Because let me tell you, the issue of drug abuse, you can be a primary victim or you can be a secondary victim. A primary victim may be somebody who is engaged in drug abuse. A secondary victim is somebody, maybe someone who is engaged in drug abuse. Through that action, you can be consequential to the lives of individuals. And I will give you a classic example. Now, for the ladies, now you see these underworld boys, okay? They invite them to their homes. Most of them, they don't know that I have witnessed it. They drug them, and at the end of the day, they sleep with them, they take the vitals of their body. And they call them, you know what they call them? They call them walking corpse. That is to say they are dead while they are walking. Why? That is to say they are telling them that we have taken your vitals, we have taken your potentials. So this category of individuals, they are secondary victims. Even in the secondary school, we've also had cases of bullying, all right, where in the process somebody died as a result of that. I can continue from there because the issue to speak with you is alarming. But we cannot fold our hands because we believe in the energies of young people. And these are people that can shape the narrative. These are people that can bring developmental stride to the country. And if the country that we call Nigeria can be better, we must pay attention to this demography. Because we don't have any other country that we can call ours. As I speak with you today, NDLEA, they've arrested 48,157 drug traffickers in less than 3 years. 46 drug barons arrested. That is to say, it is increasing on a daily basis. Why? Because these drug traffickers, they've seen Nigeria as a market. They've seen markets from the youthful population that they need to sell drugs to them because of the disadvantage that we have.
Okay. All right. So disadvantage that we have. You know, you walk the streets of Lagos, and at different points, you know, when I'm passing here, this is some location for these boys, these girls, and all that. And a lot of people, government know. We really don't know what is happening. They can't be picked up, they can't be helped, and all of that. Now, what are the common misconceptions or myths that surround drug abuse, and how do you work to dispel them through your initiative? Some people tell you that Indian hemp is medicinal. Some young people tell you that. I don't know where they got that information from. And more of them, like you said, are being, you know, initiated into it. How do you dispel some of these myths and some of these untruths?
Thank you. One of the factors that is responsible, apart from looking at it from the biological aspect, we look at the social pathologies, okay, which you've mentioned. One of the social pathologies is the peer pressure. The peer pressure is also a factor that is responsible. Right? We look at ignorance. Ignorance, they say, is a disease that should be cured in the school of knowledge. Our young people, they carry smartphones, but they don't know that smartphones, there's a lot of information too that you can get from the smartphone. Those who justify marijuana to be very medicinal, that's what they said. They say this will not be vegetable, now. They can just take her. You understand? But I've also challenged them that yes, you say vegetable, but have you also considered the consequences of taking this vegetable? Now, you mentioned Igbo, which is the popular one, the widely used drug. Okay? It is a depressant drug. That is to say, it slows down the activities of the central nervous system. So we are telling young people that yes, as you justify your action, also search for the consequences. And that is why in my campaign, I always tell them, say no, say no. How do you say no? You must first of all know, find to know. You have your smartphone. Use the smartphone also to get information and know the consequences. Because the prolonged use of marijuana, I just gave you statistics, that a lot of young people, they are out there. Do you know that at the point, we have 6 stages in drug abuse. The first stage is the experimentation. And at the first stage of experimentation, because of the genetic vulnerability of young people, what is good for one might not be good for the other. So one who take marijuana and go free, the other one might take it and not go free. Right. And that is why you see a lot of them at the first instance of taking it, they run into the streets. Let me give you an example. A young man, after taking marijuana, he was shouting, Mama Mitikuo, for those who understand Yoruba. Mama Mitikuo, Mama Mitikuo. The mother was wondering why the mother was seated just the way you seated. The mother was what? Kilo Shomo Ifumi, what is wrong with this boy? Emire, why are you shouting that Motikumo Ikuna? Kilo de? At the end of the day, people will say, Mamoti Lofagbo. You know, that is what you get.
That's what
at
you
the
get.
point of experimentation.
That is what you get.
Yes.
That's
so we are telling young people that as you justify your acts, your actions, also know the consequences. Because if you don't know the consequences, you might live forever with
regret
to regret.
Okay.
And many young people today, they are regretting.
Okay, now let's even look at how to, we have just barely 2 minutes to go. How do you collaborate with government, in making, because you can't do this alone. You need government in 1 minute, because I know that you have a lot to tell us. Just tell us that.
Collaboration in this part of the world, the war against drug abuse is a very, how will I put it? We don't want to sound very discouraging, but the truth is we need ourselves. Even we as our children are not safe the way the trend is going right now. So government should look that we are losing the greatest asset we are having. The youthful population, they are the asset, they are the resource of any nation, and if we lose them, the nation will suffer.
Wow.
So we are calling on every well-meaning individuals, corporate organizations, the government, they should see it as a fight to rescue the nation. Because drug abuse is a threat to the talent of the country, is a threat to the potentials of the country. And if we leave these young people to die, the country too is going to suffer. Today we are suffering of insecurity. We are suffering about criminality. So if we must tackle this issue, which is costing the government more money, when you take a proactive step. So what I'm using, and I know the president is a father to all. We are telling him, please, we need you at this time to address the issues of drug abuse, because our young people are dying. We know he's a father who loves talent. He's a father who uses talent to position and bring development to the society. So drug abuse is something that is bringing disrepute, not just to families, but to the society at large. And the more we
go into the details of how family members can find out and what they can do, what's our role as mothers, as fathers, as uncles, what is our role from that level. We will have you on this show again if you have the time.
No problem.
All right, because we have more things to talk about. John?
I'm just awestruck, I mean that was very powerful, Ambassador. And like Helen said, we would love to have you again on this show. I mean, because there's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about. So really, I want to thank you for this mind-blowing session that you've given us. May you continue to help this generation say no to drugs.
And thank you for the good job that you do out there. We're here to partner with you. From time to time, like I said, there's need to come in and share your experience and say a thing or two. Please feel free. We will like to have you again, like John said.
Yeah, well, that was a good way to end our conversation today with our dear friend, the Ambassador. We hope that you've been adequately impacted, just like we have been. So we will move on without taking a break because
we'll go straight to your nugget.
We'll go straight to my nugget, and my nugget today is.
And he's still here, so if you feel like putting in a word in the nugget,
feel free.
All right.
So, like I said, our nugget is for people who speak in public, and that is all of us.
That's for him.
We all speak in public. So, my nugget for today is this. Success does not come to you. You walk towards it.
Another worker.
Yeah, indeed, another worker. And I always relate this to, speaking in public, because so many of us go on stage or attend meetings without preparing for it, believing that, we will have a great day, out simply picking up the mic and speaking. Hey, who does that? You must know that no public speaking engagement should be taken unprepared, not even the unscripted one, like you just did. A moment of preparation makes a huge difference, if only to help you compose yourself and put your thoughts in the right shelves. So you make it the first row, be prepared before you go out there to speak.
Prepare.
That's my nugget for today, Helen. For free.
Again. Thank you so much. And that's our show. That's our show for today. Today with John and Helen. We return same time next weekend with some other awesome guests. And we'll be looking at some other areas of interest. Amongma Helen Odeleye, go out there, have a wonderful weekend, and celebrate without drugs. I would like to say that.
And don't forget that Saturday night on Plus TV Africa, DSTV 408, and on Star Times 308, you can watch this program at 10:30 tonight. And tomorrow morning, that's Sunday morning. Sunday morning on the same station at 9:30. Well, I want to say Happy Easter to all of us. I'm not sure Henny remembered to wish me a happy Easter, but it's okay. I'm John Senaya, and like she said, we'll see you again next week.
Enjoy your holiday. Bye now.
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
May 29, 2023, President Bola Tinubu assumed office with an announcement that had grave impact on the people. Subsidy is gone. The president exclaimed during his inaugural address at the Eagle Square, Abuja, shortly after he was sworn in as the 16th president of the country. He also promised to lead the country with compassion and amity towards all.
Unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assume office and what I've heard is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
Despite the assurance by the president's team that the subsidy removal was not immediate, the announcement sparked reactions across the country. As soon as the decision was made, fuel queues popped up across the country as most filling stations quickly saw an opportunity to profiteer off the situation. As expected, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) announced an upward review of its fuel prices across filling stations in the country, setting the stage for a nationwide increase in fuel prices. Also, at the dawn of this administration, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) abolished the country's multiple exchange rate system and effectively floated the naira. The nation's currency had seen a free fall ever since. Like every other Nigerian, the civil servant is struggling to eke out a livelihood. These decisions by the government couldn't have come at the worst time, when he is struggling with high inflation, unemployment and poverty. Even the rich are not left out.
Honestly speaking, I think in Nigeria right now, anybody that tells you that is not feeling the pain is lying to you. Cost of living is very expensive in the market. all the landlord has added money for their rent. Transportation is not like before. So Nigeria is too hectic.
It doesn't be easy. The high rack of fare, feeding, no matter how, no matter what, we will survive.
In the wake of all of this, experts say the impact of the subsidy removal on the cost of living among Nigerians is expected to be significant and negative, at least in the short term. According to figures by the National Bureau of Statistics, the inflation rate could rise to 30% by December. Professor Christopher Imomolen is a serial entrepreneur. He speaks of how businesses have been impacted negatively.
And would have been done in a way that, despite the fact that subsidy needs to be removed, because we cannot run an economy where a large chunk of our revenue is being used to pay subsidies, and these subsidies has a kind of racketeering that is not even helping the economy. So if we are going to, which we must do, it must be done in a way that it does not largely affect the economy, which we currently see today. Inflation rate is at the highest rate ever. It's also have a ripple effect even in the exchange rate. We see how the exchange FX has shoot up tremendously just in the space of 6 months. We've had the kind of increment that we've not had since 1960. This has period effects just from one commodity which the nation is largely dependent on. I believe that before we can totally lift subsidy from the PMS, we must also ensure that we provide power, we provide alternative source of energy for the people. The world today is embracing green economy. It's not something that will happen in the space of 5 years. It will take a lot of time, but we must gradually do that. Everybody have their leadership style. So, but of course, we've seen the ripple effect of that decision on the economy. So we can at this point say that it was not really a good idea that was announced at that time it was announced. I felt that cabinet should have been drawn up because you need people to help implement policies. Your team, the team should have been on ground. As at that time, there was no ministers, there was no anybody on ground, and just that same day it was announced. It so happened so that all stations were shut down. It was very harsh. And looking at the fact that we are coming out from a very bad situation where Naira was scarce, people could not have access to Naira, and immediately you were going into, at a time when people were looking for hope, where people were seeking to say, okay, maybe this person could be the Messiah to rescue us from. So that it's obvious. So it's not. It's obvious that that decision at that time was not too good to the economy. It should have been done at the time where you would have consulted, and you cannot consult as a president, and you would have gone through your team, and that would have been done through after you have set up at least to a large extent your team inaugurated them. Then immediately you start running.
Mukhtar Mohammed is an international finance and economic analyst. Although he supports the removal of fuel subsidy, he sheds light on how the Naira float and recent policies are affecting the economy.
You just tell them that they pay high duty for bringing in those costs of those goods and services. That could encourage them to begin to think of establishing it here in Nigeria. Instead of you telling them you're banned, they'll find other ways to gain FX. And most of these 41 banned items are items that Nigerians generally want to make use of. So you need to also look at that also. So it all depends on the implementation of this policy.
As it stands, the elimination of fuel subsidy has brought both challenges and opportunities. It has led to a 150 to 200% surge in fuel cost. That is about 500 to 600 naira across the country. That is per litre. Food inflation is also skyrocketing.
It's not cheap at all. Many people are suffering. To even get the money to buy food is a problem. And the market also now is very expensive. We are not making it at all. Even you that are selling it, there's no gain on the market these days.
Small and medium-sized enterprises are facing difficulties in accessing affordable power.
Come and tell us, how much did you buy it? How much are you buying it for?
Residents say they cannot afford even alternatives as they are disillusioned by the hack in liquefied petroleum gas, LPG.
We don't really, they should try and help us. The thing is tough, everywhere is hard. But they should, at least gas is what we survive with, we cook with it, so they should try and help us.
So what alternative do you think you will use outside of gas?
Charcoal stove, that's the alternative for me, because here you cannot use firewood inside your house.
The gas 1 kg is 900. So before we are buying it, is it 350? Yeah, so it is our cost now, so I think they should help us to reduce it.
As the debate on the merit and demerit of fuel subsidy removal and Naira float continues, how are ordinary Nigerians finding ways to mitigate the impact of these policies on their daily lives? While some have reduced unnecessary trips, others have adjusted their budget and spending habits.
We had to do away with so many things and just do with basic needs, and that is food, water, go and sleep. No unnecessary outings, nothing, because the pocket go tell you now.
The food matter, now that one was pass. Because before, how much be the week of rice? Not be 120. Now we dey buy at 1,900. 1,900. Just consider the person that get 4 children now. How you want to survive? I beg. Now beg we dey beg them. Make them help us so. This thing too much. Too much. Ororo, ma'am, rice, everything. Wetin happen? Wetin we do them? Make them help us. No smile, nobody dey smile. As I dey talk to you now, I dey vex.
What you buy today, tomorrow it has added. What you buy this morning, by 2 hours time, the price has skyrocketed. In fact, we don't know who to cry to. We are only at the mercy of God now. Our children cannot feed well. Mothers are going hungry because of the children. Because when it's not enough, you have to feed your children first. We don't know who to cry to. All we are begging is that God should come to our intervention.
Persistent inflationary pressures in the economy have accelerated poverty in the country, with purchasing power continuing to slump over the past few months. As a measure to address these difficulties, the federal government had announced a 5 billion naira palliative for each state, including the Federal Capital Territory, to cushion the impact of the removal of subsidy. The fund was shared in the ratio of 52 to 48%. Experts are voicing out their opinions on the workability.
We spoke about student loan. We said September. Nobody's saying student loan. We talk about CNG. So everything is just like ghost. It's as if nothing is happening. And when people start talking, it's look as if maybe we're against government. We must just talk so that this country will grow. We want this government to succeed. And this is what we are saying now. If everybody just keep quiet and everybody's nodding their head, no, you are doing the best, and this country will fail, and every one of us fail. So government needs to start looking at the right thing to do, and the people need to also adjust.
Going forward, here are some suggestions by experts on how to cope with fuel subsidy removal in the country. Reduce dependence on petrol-powered generators. Invest in alternative energy sources like solar panels, inverters, or batteries. These can provide electricity and reduce reliance on fuel-powered generators. Use energy-efficient appliances and bulbs to minimize electricity consumption. Adopt energy-saving habits such as turning off lights, fans, and electronics when not in use. Use public transportation or carpooling. Utilize public transportation options like buses or trains, which are generally more cost-effective than driving private vehicles. Consider carpooling with colleagues, neighbors, or friends who travel similar routes. This helps share fuel costs and reduces traffic congestion. Plan your trips and errands ahead of time. Make a list of places you need to visit and tasks you need to complete. Combining errands into a single trip minimizes fuel usage. Utilize online shopping and delivery services for groceries, food, and other items to reduce the need for physical trips. Adjust your budget and spending habits. Review your income and expenses, identifying areas where you can cut down or save money. Prioritize essential expenses and reduce discretionary spending. Consider taking up a side hustle or exploring additional sources of income to supplement your budget. Minimize air conditioning usage and explore natural ventilation options. Insulate your home to retain heat during cooler months and reduce the need for excessive heating. Make conscious efforts to conserve water and electricity, reducing associated costs. Explore fuel-efficient transportation alternatives. Optimize driving habits by maintaining proper tire pressure. Avoid rapid acceleration or braking, and keeping vehicle maintenance up to date. This can improve fuel efficiency. Engage in advocacy and dialogue. Participate in discussions with policymakers, community leaders, and relevant organizations to voice concerns and propose sustainable solutions. Advocate for policies that promote renewable energy sources and support initiatives aimed at reducing reliance on fossil fuels. Avoid long and unnecessary commute. Optimize your travel routes to minimize distance and time spent on the road. Consider remote work or flexible work arrangements, if possible, to reduce the frequency of commuting. For shorter distances, consider using bicycles as a mode of transportation. Cycling is not only cost-effective, but also promotes physical fitness and reduces carbon emissions. Invest in a sturdy bicycle, proper safety gear and accessories like bike locks and lights to ensure a safe riding experience. Familiarize yourself with bike lanes, paths, and safe routes in your area. And remember to take a walk. Walking will save your life.
The Nigerian political space is an interesting and evolving scene, especially as Nigeria continues to practice democracy. Over the years, many celebrities in the country have been appointed by their state governments as commissioners, special assistants, and advisors, while some have intentionally delved into politics with the plan of serving the people and pursuing a career in politics. Today, we will be highlighting 5 female Nigerian entertainers who have been in politics or are in politics. At the top of this list is Funke Akindele. In July 2022, popular Nollywood actress Olufunke Akindele was announced as the deputy governor candidate for the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for Lagos State in the coming 2023 elections. The Nollywood star, best known for her Jennifer character, will be running alongside Olajide Adediran, a journalist, entrepreneur, and philanthropist popularly known as Jandor. Next, we have Tonto Dike. Ahead of the 2023 Rivers State gubernatorial elections, Nollywood actress Tonto Dike has revealed her intentions to run for deputy governor of the state. She had earlier in 2020, during an interview with the Ovation magazine publisher Dele Momodu, announced her intention to go into politics in 2023. Governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress ADC Rivers State, Tonte Ibraye, on 24th of June, announced Tonto Dike as his running mate for the 2023 governorship elections in the state.
As a matter of fact, your presence irritates me. And let me make it clear to you that I have the documents to which you look for.
Moving on, we have Ini Edo. Ini Edo is an accomplished Nollywood actress, film producer, and director.
And you're not supposed to be here. I'm out there. You're the one who's giving me this drug that gets you depressed. I am not a depressed person. Leave me alone. Don't listen to me.
She is one of the actresses who has previously held political positions. In 2016, she served as the special assistant to Governor Gabriel Udom Emmanuel, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, on culture and tourism. Her appointment was renewed in 2020 when the state's current governor, Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, was re-elected. Still on this list, we have Kate Henshaw. Veteran Nollywood actress Kate Henshaw, on July 19, 2014, officially launched her campaign website as she sought to represent the Calabar Municipal Odukmani Federal Constituency on the People's Democratic Party platform. Henshaw, however, lost the primary election to retired Honorable Essien Ayi, but was appointed by Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade as Special Advisor Liaison, Lagos, in December 2015. Recently, she recounted how she spent 35 million naira to pursue her ambition to become a member of the House of Representatives and her regrets. And finally, we have Mercy Johnson Okoje.
Iche, this is the money my father borrowed from your hand. Please, do not go near my father's Iroko tree. Do not go near my Iroko tree. Biko,
Popular Nollywood actress Mercy Johnson was appointed as the Senior Special Assistant on Entertainment, Arts and Culture to Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, in 2017. The actress has stated that she will not enter partisan politics because she believes she has enough influence as a filmmaker and appointee. Interestingly, her husband, Prince Odianosen Okoje, won the APC 2022 House of Representatives Esan North-East South-East Federal Constituency primary election. A popular quote from Charles de Gaulle states that politics is too serious a matter to be left to the politicians. And in Nigeria, with more Nigerian entertainment celebrities in the political space, this quote is true.
I was just calm. I just kept calm, like, okay, let's see what's going to happen next. And they were there that night till at about 11 or 12 late in the night. And then they brought a bus. So they packed all of us. The bus was empty, like they had removed everything inside the bus. They made us sit. We sat in the bus and we drove. So we drove for a couple of hours. I can't remember how many hours, but like close to 7 hours. So on daybreak, I saw where we got to was like a house, very big house, gated, fenced and all that. And they just dropped us there and turned back. So I was surprised, like, So for the first time, and I had to ask the 4 ladies, the 3 other ladies that we left together, please, do you guys really know where exactly we are going to? Like, this whole thing is really looking blurry to me and I don't understand anything anymore. And they're like, even them too, they are even confused though. And to crown it up, they asked us not to talk to each other. They asked us not to say anything to each other. I don't understand. So I just looked everywhere and saw that, okay, there are batches and batches of people seated at different corners. Okay, so I really need to ask questions. So at that point, one Alhaji came out, like he's one in charge of that house, and then he did say, okay, let's look for something to eat. All through this while we had not eaten, and he said we should fix something to eat, and they made one spaghetti that didn't have salt, and it was so very funny. Like, so I just summoned courage. I went to meet the Alhaji. I said, please, sir, I need you to just be open and tell me what exactly is going on. Where am I, first of all? He said, Duruku. I said, where is Duruku? He now said, how do I expect him to be able to explain that? That Duruku, that is what he knows, this place is Duruku. I said, okay, do you know where exactly I'm going to? Or do you know the person that brought me here? He was like, maybe Libya you did go. I said, Libya. I said, I'm not going to Libya. He said, I still say you be Johnny just come. Like, he said, you don't reach here. The only thing now for you make you they go the place where then they carry you, they go say, then go come carry you on tomorrow night. and he refused to say anything afterwards. So I went to sit down and relayed what he said to the other ladies, and everybody became very, very, very like upset and curious, like, okay, let's even find out. So just at that time, there was a lady in the particular room that had like 5 big bags Ghana information, and I just didn't want to believe. Honestly, I didn't believe at that point that maybe that is what we are in. But what she explained to the lady was that we are either being transported to Libya for prostitution or Italy. And then the lady said, she told her that no, the person that took us said we are going to Malaysia. And the lady now laughed and said that is what they will tell you, and that this is her 5th time going through this route. That was the same way she was deceived, but she ran away and was able to find someone who helped her, and eventually that was the person she got married to, and now they are doing like a legal business. She goes there, buys stuff, and goes back to Kano to go sell. So I said, no, it cannot be possible. Like, we all agreed that it cannot be possible, because that was not what they told us. Looking at what the first guy told us, what the magician guy told us, what the lady told us, that it cannot be possible, that maybe hers is a different kind of connection. So fast forward from there, they came to pick us the next night in a Hilux, arranged us, and we drove for like 3 days non-stop. Okay, we had 2 stopovers. The first stopover was in a very cold, white place. Like, I have never seen that kind of cold in my life before. I was shivering to the brain. Like, I just couldn't imagine why I was going through this. Like, if these people really want to help me, this is not a way to help someone. You cannot be helping someone and the person is in pain. So, but I couldn't really say much because I was already in it. So we drove for days, and on the 3rd day where we stopped was really looking like, I didn't know what to call the place. There were thousands of people, young ladies, guys, and they were calling it ghetto. This is ghetto. They were calling the particular ghetto. The ghetto had a name, and they said, okay, now we can go and have our bath. So for the first time after 7 days, we're going to 8 days, we're going to have our bath and have change of clothes. So first of all, my concern was to even just let me even have a bath first and find something tangible to eat. So they made rice, we ate. In the midst of eating, I started hearing conversations. So I said, okay, since they said we should not talk to anybody, no problem. I'm going to find out everything I need to find out, and if possible, go back from here. So during conversations, I heard people saying, they will tell you everything possible, that here it is Libya they're taking you to. You either go and work as a housemaid, or you go and work in connection house, all manner of things. And at that point, it really dawned on me that what that lady had said earlier was very true. So the other 3 ladies, 2 of them now came to meet me when I was sitting down. I like, see what I am hearing. I said, okay, even me too. I heard the same thing. And they're like, are we sure we want to continue this journey? So at that point, I was really upset with myself not to have verified whatever information I got. I started crying. I was in pain. Like, why will I be going through this? Like, no. Even if, for crying out loud, this is not help. This is like putting me in a pit where I can't talk, I can't communicate. Now there is no communication, nothing. So I looked around. We were there till the next day, and then there was this particular guy, Mohammed, that was giving out clothes, was calling out names and all. So I walked up to him and said, please, at this junction, I don't think I want to continue this journey. Can you help me? I want to go back home. And then he said, that what I just asked is very dangerous. That if it was yesterday when I came that I said that it would have been, maybe you can manage or think of how to go about it. That already the person that I'm being taken to knows I'm here. whatever makes me not get to her, he has to be the one to pay for me. I'm like, pay for me as how? He said, somebody paid for you to be brought to her, and pay transit, they pay additional money just to be sure that the person is being carried along. And I was like, okay, so how much does it cost to get up to this point? And if I'm to go back from here, I can actually call them, tell them I don't want to continue this journey and I want to go back home. He said it's either of two things. It's either you get home or you don't get home. They might tell you to go. They'll either kidnap you and sell you to a place where you'll never be able to come out from, or they might even kill you. That he would advise me to just go and face my fate, but I should pray that whoever I'm going to go and meet is not a bad person. And I asked that, why did he say so? He said he cannot say anything more. That I'm here, and the only way forward is to move forward. I was like, okay. I was broken. I couldn't even tell the other ladies what he had said. I summoned courage to eventually say. So that night, they put us in a hilux. We're about 36 or 32 of us. And they made us sit in rows in the hilux. It was took like minutes to even be able to stand up. So at that point, I was just concerned with one thing, which is surviving and coming back home at all cost. So after the first stopover, I became sick a little bit. I started having too many issues. So I decided not to sit in the hilux again. And then I had to sit at the edge on top of the tire box. What is breathing? I said I wasn't going to sit inside the hilux again, that I was going to sit at the edge. So I did sit on the edge of the hilux and had a stick to hold on to, and we drove for another couple of days. The experience in the desert was, it's not something, sometimes when I think about it, I just smile. My smiling is not that, okay, I'm happy, but I wonder how I was able to pull through. I wonder how I was able to manage my health. I wonder how I was able to cope up mentally, emotionally, thinking about everything I had left back at home, everyone. I kept them in the dark. I didn't really say much. And then thinking about the people who deceived me, like, if you want to help someone, you should help someone and not even put them into more problems. So a lot of things were racing through my mind. I got so discouraged at my own life. I felt really bad that I was impatient. I didn't ask questions. Of all places, why would I be going to Libya to do what? Like, I wasn't even, I couldn't really define the feelings I had then. But at each point, what I always did was to just pray to God that, God, I know that I have done wrong not to have even, look out for my own self. But I am asking for just one thing. Wherever I'm going to, make sure you take me back home, healed and healthy. So we had another stopover. I got beaten along the way by Arab men. I was trying to save someone from getting beaten wrongly, and I got the beating. Difficulty, there was no food, there was no water, the weather was, the sun would be shining and scorching, and the cold was extremely cold. Like, I couldn't really, there was no definition of everything that was going on. I was just bleak and blank. At the point, I was regretting every step from my friend. I started cursing, like, so she knew about this. That was why at a point she disappeared. She didn't really see anything. And even when I asked her about it, she pretended not to know anything about traveling. That this guy didn't tell her anything about traveling. But I'm like, but you introduced me to this guy, so it's not possible for him to come tell me something about traveling and you didn't know. I thought so far and wide to the point where I felt, okay, I know I'm not going to die. I know I'm not going to die. I know I will go back home. And I'm so going to fish these people out and really find out the reason why they ever did such to me. At some point, I became very ill. I had very bad cough because I refused to sit again at that point. We had sat for like 3 days. So all my thighs were burnt and peeled from the sitting. And you know, the hillocks, the speed at which the hillocks was moving was really high. It wouldn't stop. At a point, a guy fell off the hillocks and they didn't wait. They didn't wait. The drivers were so mean. We don't understand their language. They don't understand our language. So even when you're beckoning on them to say, oh, something is going on. There was a time a guy was throwing up. He was feeling, okay, I think it was about throwing up. So we're like, okay, maybe if he stops. We tried beckoning on them. And if they come out, the next thing they do is to maybe hit you with something, saying all manner of languages. We didn't understand. We couldn't speak to them. They couldn't speak to us. It was hell for me. So because my laps were peeled, I couldn't sit again. So I now stood behind the pavement of the main hillocks box. And then that journey was for 5 days. 5 days of cold, 5 days, as in I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. Like at some point, I would just cry and scream out loud. Like I wish the sky could even feel my pain. Like there was no definition to what I was going through. And I just kept crying and crying and crying. After crying, I'll console myself. You're just crying. You see, everybody here, they also have one reason to cry. So they cannot shoulder you and tell you sorry. So you alone will have to shoulder your pain. And that hurt me so bad. Sometimes when people see me talk about the story and I'm not really showing so much emotions, they feel, oh, we're not too sure you went through this. I have said it like 1,000,001 times. It's something I went through, and I can imagine how I had to just tell myself that, come, you have a child back home that you know. One day I am going to eventually come back and say this story to people. So at that point, remembering and recalling everything, one question kept popping in my head. Why will people not have any other thing to do other than to do a business where you transport people? Whoever it is I'm going to go and meet is, I'm going to come back home and know the reason why people really did this problem, this business. On getting to Sabah, Sabah is halfway into Libya. On getting to Sabah, we had a connection house where they put us. We met about 60 ladies in the room, and then the guys also had their room. And they kept adding us. They kept adding. And at a point, I counted, we were about 80 in that room, the ladies' room. The guys were about 40-something. The food was really bad. You know, having to make banku. Now, this is not even the original banku. This is the banku made with flour. Having to make flour like fufu. And then maybe they will serve like 20 plates down. And then everybody will now line up. By the time you're eating, it's as though you're eating stone, you're swallowing stone. The soup was so watery that you won't even, you're not. The very first day I was asking myself, like, I know I had challenges back at home, but my challenges were not so bad that I couldn't even eat a good meal. Like, this is not a meal. So the first day we had that in the night, so at some point we just sit there crying out that no, this is not life. This is not, why are we having to go through this? I would cry every night. I would beg God that, please, can I just vanish from here? Okay, at the point I was begging for death to come because it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. And within ourselves, some girls were like, they were really radical about it, and they were like, no, we need to tell them, it's either they change the way they are doing this food, or maybe we should even take up the cooking by ourselves. So I thought of it. I was like, okay, that's true. So if already I'm going through hell, and then food now has to be a problem. So we waited for the ghetto man, the person in charge of the ghetto, like, we waited for him to come. We kept shouting, when is he coming? When is he coming? We don't even know why we are here. We don't even know what we are doing here. So at that time, we had stayed a week. We don't know why we are being kept here. We don't know who even put us here. We don't even know anything. Nobody is saying anything. So when the connection man did come, we took turns to ask questions. I noticed everybody was just asking questions. Where are we going to? Where are we going to? And all. So I did ask him. I said, okay, first of all, why are we here? Do you have an answer, or do you know the reason why we are here? And then he said, you are here because you're being transported to your burger. And then we now asked, what is the meaning of a burger? He said a burger is a person that pays it, and the reason why we are here is because the road is bad, there is war, and they cannot transport us. It's very risky, and that we might meet rebels on the way, and rebels, they either rape, kill, abduct, and we're like, okay, so for how long are we going to be here? He said, doesn't know until the war is over. So if it takes 1 month, if it takes 2 months, but just know that for every food you are eating, for every extra thing you collect here, your money is piling up. It is your burger that is paying, and when you get to wherever you're going to, you have to work to pay your burger back. So we now, 5 of us volunteered to be cooking our food by ourselves, and we were there for extra 2 weeks and some days. In total, we were there for 3 weeks and 5 days. And then we started the journey to Libya. That was where I had a near-death experience. So 2 days, and they put us there. So, but before we entered, we were already beckoning on this boat that, you know, arrogantly he was talking, and he went to what happened, and somehow P actually, no, she wasn't the one. You see, when that spring landed on my head, you know the spring they use in water closet, very strong and thick, and all I knew that was going on was that I was screaming at the top of my voice with both hands on my head, because it actually hit me on my head. And when I gave birth, like 8 months, when I was 8 months pregnant, I fell in the bathtub and was exactly on that spot, and he did it like 3 times. He kept hitting the spring on me. I remember crying till I didn't know what was going on. And you know, for the first time, when they say people have transition, I always wonder. I knew I was just lost somewhere. I knew something was going on to my body. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what. I was just blank. But I could hear myself crying. I could hear myself crying, and I was just crying, as in, you know, bitter tears. You cry bitter tears, and you just have to still be the one to tell yourself, you have to stop. So by the time I woke up, the other ladies were like, you need to see the way they were rejoicing, because they said they didn't believe I was going to still come back to life. That, yeah, the head was actually bleeding at that point. Like, and at that point when I woke up, they had cleaned it, they had tried everything. I remember when they were pouring water on me. I remember when somebody was tapping me and everything, and I was like, they started explaining what actually happened. That the moment he hit that spring on my head the second time, I started screaming, and they noticed I was bleeding, and I cried, and I just went mute. I lost everything. So there was a lady we met in that place that had a phone. So that was the first time I had to beg her. I'm sure this is what has happened to me. And I don't even know where. Yeah, we're in Trauna at that time. And he said, but why didn't you say anything before leaving? And then I told him that they told us not to say anything. The moment they say don't say anything, you should have known it was trafficking. I know that you're naive and you do not know anything, but you should have told me. Because he was now like a father to me. Even after I had stopped working with the FRSC then, he was like a father to me. Said he was going to try his best to see what he can do, but that still being on transit, there is probably little or nothing he can do at that point. So I'm sure he tried calling back, because the lady kept cutting a particular call, I wouldn't know, and I didn't want to disturb her. So at that point, I really cried. I cried. That was the only thing I could do. I just cried. Like, I have never suffered like this in my life before. Even if I'm to suffer anything, it shouldn't be suffering from a decision to have a better life. So long and short was, we got into Libya and they kept hiding us. They lay us in hillocks, cover us with tarpaulin, you know, hiding, running, making sure you're not seen, number of choking, you have to be there, sometimes 3 hours, 2 hours, you won't be able to breathe, you can practically feel life leaving you, you're sniffing each other's air, and you know, in the midst of all of this, some people will be fighting and quarreling and beating themselves. You know, I just couldn't imagine why. And even in that, some people decided they wanted to go do this thing, like they wanted to travel this way. I didn't know anything like this existed. I didn't know anything of such even happens. Finding myself in it was like the biggest dream I never wished to have again. So, found ourselves in Libya, and the first thing they did, seeing Nigerian girls and women, I was like, okay, so finally, we have gotten to our destination. So, what's next? Entering that house, I knew this is going to be a big problem for me. Because already I was upset, I was ready to yell at anybody. And then the first thing they made us do was to strip ourselves. I was like, okay. So I did remember at some point in the journey where a particular guy, we met him somewhere, and he also gave us a hint of how it actually goes. He said they're taking it to the car. What they do normally in a connection house is sex trade. So I said, no, me, I'm not going to do that one. He said, you will not have a choice. He said, they'll make life hell for you. You will not have a choice. So he now said that if eventually I get there, and that is what it is, that I have an option to run away. But that is very risky. And then he did give me to help yourself remain strong. And while they asked us to strip ourselves, I was like, for whatever reason, I'm coming to work for someone. Why would you ask me to strip myself? So they said this. They were searching, maybe you have a number written somewhere in form of a tattoo, or maybe you wrote the number somewhere and you hid it in your clothes. And they asked me, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I was dumb, like, he said, you have something good doing, what are you doing here? I said, it was a friend though that said there's traveling opportunity.